All right, Pickle. It's time for Tepper's Top 10.
List season.
We're a week away from the UIL realignment. We're going to be live at 9 a.m. We may even go on the air a little bit early to get ready before the release of the alignments at 9 a.m. But we're going to do a show live from Birdville, have big-time guests on. You won't want to miss that. It's the biggest day in Texas high school football on the big Texas high school football calendar because it impacts every program in the state. All 1,240-something, I think there are, now UIL member programs. Some teams are not really sweating it. Some teams kind of know exactly what they're going to be. I'll give you an example, okay? A team like El Paso Franklin. El Paso Franklin is a 6A school. El Paso Franklin, let me tell you, they're going to be in District 1.
Yep.
District 1, 6A. I don't think I'm breaking any news there. If El Paso Franklin is not in District 1, 6A, come back and absolutely roast me.
Yes.
But there are teams like that are not sweating it.
Right. From geographic reason, and also I would say that some teams, like, obviously they set the number cutoff for each classification. Some teams are consistently smack dab in the middle of those numbers, so they don't ever really have to worry about it.
They don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
There's others that they're going to be sweating it. They're wondering what their fate is going to be and what exactly the next 2 years of their Texas high school football existence is going to be. So I picked out 10 teams that I am most interested to see when the UIL realignments get released next Thursday at 9 a.m. So we got 10 teams to watch in UIL realignment, starting with number 10.
The Scots of Highland Park.
So Highland Park's moving up to 6A. And I don't think there's a ton of intrigue into what they're going to do just because of the way that things break out. We don't there's only a couple of places they're going to be. They're almost certainly, I'd be surprised if they weren't in Region 1. Things like that. Those are the types of things that I would be a little surprised if they weren't. But it will certainly be interesting to see where they land and what exactly their district play looks like. Anytime you have a program like this that is moving up a classification, it is going to be very intriguing to see what they're able,
especially to the largest classification.
Absolutely. To go a program like this, which has always been, the joke has always been, the conspiracy theory has been that
they're counting
that the number is that the cutoff number is Highland Park plus 2 or whatever.
2, exactly.
Well, they are going to be a 6A program. What exactly 6A Highland Park looks like, we will find out next Thursday. Number 9.
Let's go south to Gregory Portland.
Okay, so you can lump 2 teams in on this: Gregory Portland and Corpus Christi Flower Bluff.
Yes.
So Gregory Portland and Corpus Christi Flower Bluff are going to be 5A Division II programs. They're going to be in 5A Division II. We know that. And here's the problem. The problem for Gregory Portland and for for teams like that is there's no other team on the coastal bend in that part of the world that is a 5A Division II program.
Yeah, they're almost
It's basically them.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of question as to what you do with them. Do you send them to San Antonio? Do you send them to Houston? Do you send them to the Rio Grande Valley?
Yeah, and to put that in perspective, that's about 2 hours every single way, regardless of where you look at it.
And so, there's a lot. They are stuck in the middle. There's not a great option for teams like Gregory Portland, Corpus Christi, Flower Bluff. Where they end up shaking out, the UIL's got a decision to make with these two teams because they are on a 5A Division II island.
And that's huge for Flower Bluff too. I mean, they went far this year. They had a historic year.
I want to say they're semifinalists. Yeah. So keep an eye on that. Number 8.
Back up north, the Bearcats of Aledo.
Another prominent program that is making the leap up. Now, Aledo has not moved up in classification in a long time, but they are moving up from 5A Division II to 5A Division I. And I think a lot of the question is going to be exactly what their kind of draw looks like. Where exactly do they want to put them? Could they slide them into, now remember where Aledo is geographically. They're on the west side of DFW, west of Fort Worth in Parker County. But the way that things line up, do they go out west? Do they go, are they going to be in Region 1 where they're going to be, in with the teams like from Lubbock, like from El Paso and things like that? Are they going to be in Region 2, which is where you're going to find places almost certainly like Longview and like Frisco Lone Star and things like that, Denton Ryan? Are they going to be over in, where are they going to land, and is it going to be a hard basically, my question for them is it going to be a hard landing or a soft landing?
Right, because Region 1 would be substantially softer than Region 2.
Right. There are places that they could land that would be, that's pretty decent. Like, they would take it. There are other places that they could land where they would go right into the blender. Mm-hmm. We don't really know exactly what Aledo's situation is going to be like. We will find out exactly what it looks like on Thursday. Number 7.
Let's go way south.
To Laredo United. Now, Laredo United is a bit of a stand-in for a bigger conversation we need to have about 6A.
Yeah.
One of the deciding factors and one of the things that you always have to remember about UIL realignment is that there is a hard and fast number that you have to keep in your head, and that is 32.
Yes.
You got 32 districts. You got to fit them all in. And so there's usually at the bottom, and by bottom I mean you get to districts 30, 31, 32, there's a bit of a squeeze. Yeah. And especially with other areas like DFW, like Houston, those areas which are growing, you're thinking what do those teams have to do with teams from the Rio Grande Valley and Laredo, right? The reason that you have to pay attention to this, and the reason that matters, is if you give an extra district to, let's say, San Antonio, or you give an extra district to Houston, or you give an extra district to DFW, that bill comes due at the end of the realignment at districts 30, 31, 32.
It's like getting through a paper. You get through all of this, and then you get to the conclusion and realize you still have 700 words that you still need to fit in.
Squeeze it in.
Yep.
And so the question for me is going to be, does Laredo have to go south to the Rio Grande Valley? In the past couple of years, let me make sure I'm not talking out of my rear end here, but I'm fairly certain that Laredo...
They have not really had to do that. If anything, they go play some San Antonio teams.
They've kind of had their own district.
But that's been it, yes.
Right? With the squeeze, does the UIL take them and drop them south? And you may be thinking, Laredo, Rio Grande Valley, maybe you live in Dallas or you live in Houston.
It's like an hour and a half apart.
Those are not close. Those are not close. So keep an eye on the Laredo schools in 6A. What exactly is their fate on next Thursday? Number 6.
Let's go to the Hill Country and the Punchers of Mason.
2A. Mason, if go to Google Maps right now and look up Mason, Texas.
Well, I know
exactly where it is.
Much about Mason, Texas. It is the town next to Llano.
It is.
If you were wondering.
It's in the Hill Country. It is, well, it's kind of in the Hill Country.
It's very kind of in north for the Hill Country.
It's kind of in the Concho Valley.
Yep.
It's in a weird middle spot. For the past, relatively memorable group of time, they have been in Region 4.
Yep.
They've been down there in Region 4.
Which is wild.
They've been down south. They send them south.
South, yep.
There is a real argument to send them west.
Yep.
To send them north. To send them even over to, I don't know. I would need to take a look at it. I don't know if they go to Region.
Things that they can do east.
I don't know if they'd go to Region 1.
It's too far.
But they could go to Region 2.
Yep.
And what you're talking about is removing them from Region 4, where you're going to see Refugio, Shiner, the usual suspects down there in Region 4. And not only taking them out of the region, but moving them to the other side of the bracket.
Yep.
That's a real possibility. They're on that kind of edge there. Keep an eye. Do they move Region?
I'm sure they would love that.
Mason out of Region 4 and over to a place like Region 2.
Yeah.
That is a real possibility. They could switch sides of the bracket. And that would obviously have major ramifications. Keep an eye on Mason. Number 5.
Hang on. Boom. Franklin.
How about the defending state champs in 3A Division 2? If you didn't know this, Franklin's moving up. Franklin's on the way up to 3A Division 1.
They knew that.
And here's the thing about Franklin. I'm putting them at number 5, even though they're a defending state champ moving up. Because if you were to ask me, I think I might know where they're going. Because if you take a look at the other 3A Division 1 programs around there, they don't have a ton of options.
No, it's kind of They're very limited.
They're very limited. They're in the Brazos Valley. I think they're going to go north to Central Texas. Okay? I think they're going to go north to Central Texas.
Yeah.
And as Matt Stepp put on Twitter, he thinks there's a fair chance that you see Lorena and Franklin in the same district.
Oh, shoot. That would be 2 defending state champs.
Both 3A state champs in the
fire.
same district. I think there's a chance that happens. Because if you just take a look, if you take a look at the map of the teams in 3A Division 1, and you would just start drawing circles, you would say, well, this is the best possible fit for Franklin.
Yeah.
Now, they could surprise us. They always do. They could send us. They could send them south. They could do something like that.
But at that point, you're going into the outer Houston area. Because other than that, I mean, if you look down in the Brazos Valley and you go even further down to that kind of barren wasteland, it's like Shiner Refugio stuff. They're all 2A programs.
Do you send them down to like, do they send them way west to like Llano?
Yeah, exactly.
Do they send them way south to places like Yoakum?
Yeah.
That
would be some travel.
That's travel. And so keep an eye on Franklin. There's a fair chance they get thrown into the Central Texas blender.
That'd be wild.
Which would be big times doing. Just keep an eye on Franklin. Number 4.
How about out to Beast, Texas we go, Lufkin.
Another program that every year we have questions about.
They're always on that cusp.
Because they're in that weird part of the state where they don't have a ton of teams that are most like them, like that are the same size. There's a few different places you could send them. You could send them south to Houston, which they've done before. Remember, Lufkin used to be. There were times where Lufkin would be in like a district like Beaumont.
Yep.
You know
which
what
is
I mean?
Kind of in that super weird way south.
You could send them south. You could send them south to Houston, to like the Golden Triangle area.
Yeah.
Or do they get reunited with their old rival in Longview and move up north and join an East Texas district? Do they do something like that?
Yeah.
That's one thing to keep an eye on. Basically, the question for Lufkin, they're going to go either north or south.
Mm-hmm.
They don't really have a choice in that just because of geography. Do they go south to Houston in that kind of southeast Texas, or do they go north to East Texas? That is a big question for Lufkin. Number 3.
Let's go out to the middle, Abilene.
Now we're getting into
the big country.
Now we're getting into some real sticking points. So Abilene's a 5A Division 1 program.
Yes.
Okay. Abilene's 5A Division 1 program, and they got basically, you take a look at 5A Division 1, there's 2 options, and neither of them are particularly good.
No.
Option 1 is that they send them east to DFW.
Yes.
Which they've done before. I want to say they were in a district like Euless Trinity.
Yeah, because they try to get about that 2.5-hour range of going, like the far east side, or far west side, rather,
right.
of the DFW.
So they could go there to East Texas. Or I'm sorry, not East Texas, to DFW.
Right.
And you're probably, and perhaps you're thinking, okay, that wouldn't be too bad. That's an option. But based on the math, there's also an option they get sent west. And by west, I mean northwest. That they could get sent up into the Panhandle with Lubbock schools, with Amarillo schools. I mean, they could be, Abilene is on an island.
Oh, yeah.
And they are going to be very intriguing to keep an eye on because they are a program that, of course, has great pedigree, but they could go east, they could go north, west.
Yeah, and that's so hard
a lot of places
because you would think that it's probably a little bit easier in the competition standpoint if you go west, but that's also, I mean, a hefty gas bill.
Oh, yes, that is absolutely true. Okay. Number 2.
We talk about another reigning state champion, the Stephenville Yellow Jackets.
Well, another conversation we have every year in 4A Division 1. Mm-hmm. So Stephenville, of course, is the reigning 4A Division 1 state champs. They will stay in 4A Division 1. But where they are in the big country, they can get sent. In the past few years, you remember, they've been in the district.
Is Stephenville considered big country?
Boy, you're opening up a can of worms. Kind of depends on what you think.
Yeah,
right?
I wouldn't consider them big country, but I don't know what I would consider them.
They're
they're
kind of in the middle.
Yeah.
Right? They are right in the middle. Mm-hmm. They could go to like the DFW area.
Yeah, which is where they've been.
They've been, they could go DFW. They could go Central Texas. They could go big country out west. They could go any which way.
Could literally go region 1 through 3.
They really could. they could go Region 4 in a strange circumstance. If they really wanted to get a little wacky, the UIL wanted to get a little wacky, they could be a Region 4 team. There's a few things that would keep them from doing that, but they could if they want to kind of circle it back up and make them like District 13. Like when think about like Mason. Like Mason is a Region 4
Yeah, they're
team,
over in the same.
and it's a little bit of a
that'd be the northernmost point of a Region 4.
Stephenville's super interesting. Keep an eye on them. Do they go northwest to northeast DFW, west, or do they go like southeast to Central Texas?
Yeah,
that is one to keep an eye on because they're a bit in a bit of a mix. Finally, number 1.
Let's go back to Coach Kevin Hoffman's still squad of the Mart Panthers.
And this is another one that we talk about every time realignment comes out. It's just because of where they are.
Yep.
And look, there's basically a few things that we know about Mart.
Mart is in the Waco area, just in case
Mart's
anybody.
in Waco, if you didn't know. But the way that 2A Division II is shaped, they are right on that edge where they could be District 8, maybe District 7. I would need to look at the math. Maybe District 7. They could be District 9, which I believe they've been the past few years.
Yes.
They could be District 10. They could be any of those regions. And you're probably thinking, Tepper, why do you care?
Yeah, it's just
why does it matter? It's a number. Because you're talking about one of the most decorated programs in Texas high school football history that could be on either side of the bracket. And that would fundamentally shape what the playoffs look like in 2A Division II going forward for the next 2 years. If they're on the past few years, they've been in Region 3. And so they've kind of gone through Region 3. They played a team like Fall City in the state semifinal, and they played a team from either Region 1 or Region 2. Imagine think about moving the Chiefs to the NFC.
Yep.
That's what this would be like.
Yep.
You move them to the other side of the bracket. That's very possible. And if they move over there, simply because of the way that the schools are mixed up and the way that the schools are laid out, there is a chance that UIL, that they move from District 9 to District 8, which doesn't seem like a huge deal, but would have massive ramifications.
Yes.
That's going to be one of the first things I look at when I get the alignments next Thursday. Do you take a look, like what is the number district that Mart is in? Because if they're number 8, things are about to get thrown asunder.
Which is so crazy that the one number difference can have just monumental shift like that.
I know. It's crazy. So anyway, those are my top 10 teams to watch when the UIL realignment comes out next Thursday. Remember, we'll have our UIL realignment special next Thursday. Probably, let's just go ahead and say 8:50.
Yeah.
8:50 a.m. live from Birdville, where we will be talking with coaches. We'll be breaking down the alignments hither and yon. We'll be having Matt step on the phone to help us break it down too. So make sure you tune into our UIL realignment special next Thursday live from Birdville starting at 8:50 a.m.
Thanks so much for watching that video. If you would like more and to be notified when they come out, go ahead and click that subscribe button right down there. You can also watch Texas Football Today every day live at noon on TexasFootball.com, Facebook, Twitch, and right here on YouTube. For more of the best coverage of Texas football in the Lone Star State, go to TexasFootball.com/subscribe.